We're into the discussion today, right? I want to give a sense of what we are up to and worked for 8, 9 years, right, in the data science machine learning space. Despite that, like my understanding of my experience with full stack projects has been fairly limited, right? Uh, so mostly been involved on the backend side where you build a service and some of the other services might be calling that endpoint, right, to get a response and all. But oftentimes, once you start working in fairly large and mature firms and all, you might often be working or trying to improve upon existing code base instead of, recreating things from scratch. And this is especially true with today's age where it's fairly straightforward to generate a fresh piece of code using these AI tools, right? So we will actually talk about how we can use AI tools to actually work backwards, or at least break apart an existing code that you probably don't understand, and see if you can actually go a way around it, or at least explore and understand and even learn faster, right? Which is one of the actual benefits of using generative AI tools is that they actually make your feedback loop faster because of the interactivity and stuff. I'm going to use one of my projects, which is GMAT Prep Buddy, which is, I would say, somewhere in between hobby project and something which has potential to use case, right? Uh, this is a simple wrapper around the existing AI tools. It takes a multi-modal which takes input as a screenshot or as a text and gives the response. Uh, the idea is very fairly simple that you can sort of having to rely on a full-scale tutor, someone, you could use this bot to post your questions and it will help you answer those questions, right? And in a way, by interacting with the bot and stuff, you can actually figure out the solution and how you're supposed to solve, right? So this is one specific question that some person had asked. I can say something like, help me solve this. Yeah, so we have a clear explanation of what's happening. So, a very simple application with a landing page. And once you log in, you enter a page where you're interacting with the bot, right? Very fairly straightforward. There should be a front end, there should be a back end, and somewhere this is deployed. And we will try to use code to, on the left side, you see Gmat chatbot. This is the root folder holding all the files which are responsible for this application. It's the current latest one. As you can see, I just recently pulled that code uh, from our remote branch. It has pretty much the latest updates and everything. Uh, and as someone who's again not experienced with a full stack code base, a very simple example in this case, but still, I'll try to understand what's happening. And basically, idea is to use the AI CoPilot and see if it can help us break down or even understand different components, something which probably isn't possible uh, without, developer being there had we not had a AI-based chatbot, right? So yeah, so can install these extensions uh, from here by clicking this blocks button. You can add uh, um, GitHub Copilot. Yep, it's very straightforward. You add it. You can also access it like uh, an extension on the right, uh, you know, so that you can actually interact with the code as you're looking at it, which is one of the easiest ways to make it useful because it's always not possible to copy code, go to Claude, OpenAI, or Gemini, whatever, paste your code, get a response, come back. It's not the most easiest experiences, right? So, but here you can directly interact with it as needed. I've used between different models. I've used Claude Sonnet 3.5, and this is what it looks like. So I can start by understanding, let's say, what is the first file, right? What does dot firebase do? So what I understand, it is related to the build because we have deployed our application using Firebase. So it has some build specific outputs. So something that this is, so one of the things you need to understand about these application code files is there are input files that you can modify or will change, which will change the way the output looks like. And there are the build files, which are the core production ready files. So this is one of those core production ready files, which basically means you don't need to touch it. You just let it be as it is. It also asks us to add this to git ignore. Just confirming if that's the case. Nope, it's not. So we'll do that. You do this because you don't want to track these specific files because these are build specific files. So if you can see on the left, the environment files, all the ones specifically not being checked. It's asking you to use git check status. Yeah, so it does notice that. Kind of forgot why do you use a star here. Let me just check that. So those are code base that I don't exactly have a clear understanding, which basically means my learning, or at least my experience, is pretty much the same as how people see it, right? So yeah, this is ignored. So we can, yeah. Right. Next, we'll go to the build file. It's trying to what's happening here. Seems to have an index.html. We also see one in the root directory, index.html. Yeah, so I think it's the same as we were discussing, which is within the build directory, it's an output file, which is optimized by the specific framework for production use cases. And the one in the root directory is the one which we might want to modify or will make changes to. So yeah, so I think we can stop tracking. So I let me just ask it, can I stop tracking? So it suggested me to note the build outputs as well. Should simplify, in terms of the amount of code that we need to worry about, right? It's always a good idea because you want to simplify, you want to have minimal code and maximum utility. So we have this, which is already moved, build coverage. That's coverage. Maybe we did put a command for this, but this is more comprehensive. Ignore both folder and specific file. So tell how we like pretty much just modified git ignore. Yeah, so that simplifies the code that we should be concerned with. Let's come to public. Bunch of static resources for this React framework called Vite, V-I-T-E, Vite. So that's what it is. We don't even touch it. We don't know nothing to do with this. No, this. So the main code sits in SRC, which is what we're interested in. So explain the code structure for SRC. Again, as you guys can see, like, we can go step by step right from the top folder, and we're able to actually explain and interact with the entire code. Honestly, this is like insane. This whole experience is I remember working on a code base which was very difficult to understand, and people have written were not there. It was absolute nightmare. So we have the reusable chat components, chat message, chat history, then the buttons, pages, services because we're using Firebase, and Gemini API, context because I don't understand, but can get deeper there. Style sheet is, I guess, the CSS style sheet. Utils, okay, there's a way to format the data. App is the main app JSX file, main and prototype. Bridges, these are pretty much the files we're concerned with. Components is the React piece, which is what the front end parts that we cover with. Pages, okay, what's the need to split it like this? As you guys can see, like, I mean, this is the main code piece. It's pretty much okay. This seems to be confused. Still concerned. Okay. Yeah, so it seems to be concerned with the gitignore file, but we can change this. I can ask it to focus on SASE. So one of the things that I realized is it's good with, yeah, can you explain the need for different structures in the SASE? Okay, so there's something new, atomic design principles, reusable UI components, full page components, router components, services, yep, Gemini, context, tools, styles, and the styles you have Tailwind, which is a CSS library. Seems like a reasonable way to structure it. But we probably need to go deep into each part, understand why they've done the way they've been done, and we can further improve the code structure of how things are done, right? Besides the SASE folder, you have these bunch of config files with different extensions like JSON, JS, which probably are the way basically configure the entire code base, right? So broadly, we are left with two parts, which is the SARCP power piece, within which there are these subcomponents and main code logic likes. So we need to figure that out, and we also need to understand how different configurations are done. So broadly, it will come the code comes down to just two pieces, and within that, we need to understand the subparts. So I guess the SASE code pieces are those which are the, I would say, the business logic in this context, right? The actual code. And the configuration files are the glues or the knobs adjusting these code pieces and how they work and stuff. So yeah, we'll go into greater details in the next video.